We're good?
So people are like,
All right, good afternoon or morning, wherever you're at.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being here. I'm guessing we're gonna have a few stragglers because realtors tend to be late. For those of you guys who are online, welcome. We are we're open to your questions, so make sure you put those in the chat. Thank you all for being here for our last Meg Age interview of the season. We are continuing this series next year, and it'll be on the third Thursday of the month every month. We're just happen to be doing it the second just due to the holidays and all that. So, welcome. We're glad you're here. So, this is Anna. Everyone who mentions your name that I have talked to since we scheduled this says, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing, and you're gonna share so much." So, no pressure, but you guys are in for a treat today. The first time we ever interacted was literally for 2 minutes at Bold. And I said, my buddy Kent raves about you. And when you sit in a Bold class, for those guys who've been in Bold, when people talk, and a lot of people talk who maybe shouldn't be talking in that room, but when you spoke in Bold the few times that you did, I think it was evident to everyone in the room that you were special and different and just we knew that, holy smokes, she's someone we should listen to. And I'm not just saying that because you're sitting here and I'm not trying to, blow sunshine up your tail. Literally, you sit in a room with, 200 people in Bold, and I'm very grateful you said yes because, I think we all can learn a lot from you. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for that. I feel like part of me like disassociated there because that feels so I'm speechless for what to say. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you. So let's just kick it off by tell us how you got into real estate. How'd you end up at Keller Williams? Just kind of your, from wherever you want to begin till, how we got into real estate. Conversation, just so we learn a little bit about you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I'll do like a little more of the professional version of the introduction.
So take notes.
Okay. I've been in real estate now 2.5 years. 2.5 years.
Wow.
And before this, I was with Nordstrom for 15 years, doing a variety of roles from a salesperson to department manager, store manager, regional manager, and I was a store manager for the Nordstrom rack, which is where I believe people go to die. That job was really tough. And I was doing things like listening to podcasts, like how to fall in love with your job and kind of what to take from challenging work experiences, really trying my best to understand that this was tough, but this too shall pass, which is a motto that I kind of live by. And after the holidays and all the returns, it was really just clear that this was not the right role. And right around that time, my son, who was, I believe, 2 or so at the time, William, my firstborn, he already had been diagnosed with autism, and he was in a partial day program. And then it was kind of evidence that he really needed a much more supportive kind of structure. So he got a place at a very renowned center for 40 hours a week. And that's 40 medical hours. So it's not like daycare where you're, I'm 6 minutes late, every day. So it was clear that was going to, if an 8 to 4 was really not going to work with my work schedule, and certainly not my husband's either, who is in sales. And it was time to leave my job. So I left Nordstrom, and I really didn't know what I was going to do. And it was actually my husband who said, if you try half as hard in real estate as you do for Nordstrom, you're going to be so successful. And I thought to myself, well, sure, I would love to try half as hard. And so then I got my license, and Keller Williams was honestly just on my heart. I kind of just knew from the beginning. I never even actually looked at any other brokerages. And why that is, I'm not quite sure, but I definitely knew that Keller Williams was known for building a good foundation, teaching, being collaborative. And that was something coming from the Nordstrom that I kind of came from. Was actually part of it. Just the rack is a different business model. But that is why I chose Keller Williams. And that is how I got into real estate. I got into real estate truly for the flexible work schedule. For my son's medical needs. And then I wanted to do something that was still kind of in my passion house, which is being with people, helping people. I know a lot of people say that, but truly, and doing something meaningful, because it really got to the point where kind of people are returning, like a $5 thing and complaining, and you start to feel like,
inside.
I mean, yeah, there's so much more to life. Like there's so much more to life.
Yeah. Let's unpack some of that. Nordstrom's rack in the Mall America, or where?
I was the store manager of the one in Maple Grove, it is, right?
Maple Grove. Okay. And you guys, you mentioned your husband, you mentioned your son. Are you guys live in the Minneapolis or whereabouts?
Eden Prairie.
Okay, so we're in Eden Prairie.
Eden Prairie. I'm from Boston, outside of Boston, a town called Wellesley. I'm actually first generation American. My parents are from Sweden, so I do speak Swedish fluently, and we had a house there until my mom passed, which was 8 years ago. But it was like a house on a little island with no cars, no roads, no stores. There wasn't running water until I was about 10. So it was a summer house. But Sweden also. There's a lot.
And how long, or what brought you to the Twin Cities from?
Nordstrom moved me from. I moved myself here from I was a regional manager for the Southwest Nordstrom, Texas, Arizona, Colorado, Utah, the men's divisions. And so I traveled a lot for that job. And I'm not shy about this, but I'm now 8 years sober. And at the time, my drinking was really affecting my ability to work. And my mom passed as well, kind of not unexpected, but a bit unexpected. And so that combined really caused me to, I'm like kind of being gentle right now, but just collapsed. And so then I stayed with Nordstrom. I took a leave of absence, went to rehab, and then after rehab, it was evident that the 30 days just wasn't quite enough. So I came here and went to Hazleton for half day. And then once I was here, I was planning to go back to my job. I had 3 months in Dallas. But once I was here and once I was a little more sober, a little more stable, I realized that I needed to be somewhere where I had support, because in Dallas, I was truly alone. And then here in America now, it's just my dad and my brother, and in Boston area. So I kind of felt like a little orphan-ish. So it became here because I had a partner that was here. And so that felt like some sort of connection to humanity.
In what year was it you moved here?
2017.
Okay, so we've been here roughly 8 years then. Yeah. And your husband's name is?
Robert.
Okay, and you said he's in sales?
Yes.
Okay. And we have our son, William, do we have any other kids? Okay.
William just turned 6, and he is so blessed. He started kindergarten, and there's a school called Sparrow Academy that is a public charter school, and serving kids with disabilities. And so like everyone there is on an IEP. It's all they know. And he got into that school. So that is where he is. And then I have a younger one, Henry, who he's 4.5, and he goes to preschool at Grace, which is a church.
Yeah, Grace Church in Eden Prairie, right? So nice. Wow. So, so what's fun is I usually have these like, hey, here's all my 30 questions. You provided some context in a couple of things that I'm going to focus mostly on all of that, but and then we can take this conversation anywhere you want to go. So if you guys have questions, please ask, and I'm going to pretend that it's just me and her talking here. So I'm going to ask some selfish questions as well. And again, whatever you're comfortable with. So I'm personally 2 months away from being 2 years with no alcohol. And without question, one of the best decisions I've ever made. And hasn't, luckily, not going to have been hard for me whatsoever. But can you just share whether there's probably people in the room or online who have struggled with something that's a vice or an addiction or something that they know is not serving them well, and they may not have gotten to the point where they're ready to, one, admit it, or two, do something about it. What can you just share and go as deep or as not deep as you want? What has that done for you? Just being 8 years sober, and I know it's a journey every day, probably, and maybe not, but what has that done?
Wow, that is a lot to answer that question. I mean, there have been like several stages in my life where I feel like I have both died, like literally and figuratively. Like I was actually in a coma for 4 days. And then like been alive, been kind of like, oh, I woke up to life, but it's like I keep like waking up to different levels of life, you know? You're kind of like first, oh, okay, I actually am alive, and kind of working through like depression and things like that. So there's a whole story there. But I guess what it's done for me is I mean, it's allowed, I don't even, there's so much there. I could not be here if I was still drinking. It's just I couldn't. And it's not just the drinking and the fact that you're drunk. It's like how then your entire perspective on life shifts, because all of a sudden it's me. I'm hungover. I don't feel good. How am I going to do this? And then where am I going to get the next drink? And you know, that it's like it's a whole all about me life. And at the same time, your soul is dead. So to then be sober and to realize that it's actually loving other people that is the purpose of our identity here on planet Earth. Then your whole perspective on life completely changes. So it's done, yeah, it'd be like, you know, jumping from Mars to Earth.
And if I'm sitting in the room with something I'm struggling with, you being through this, what advice would you give me?
There's two things. I think it kind of, for me personally, with like the drinking, and before that, I mean, I've had a few attempts at being sober. There was when I was like in my early 20s, drug use, and for both of those, it honestly got to like a rock bottom. And that now I think there's different. Everyone kind of finds the time that is the time for them to change their behavior. Mm-hmm. And just for me personally, for that, it really needed to be like the absolute. It's either this or a grave type thing. And at that point, you're so willing that like you'll just do anything. I mean, you'll do anything. So I think that that's one way to do it. But I'll say, you know, like I am currently in a program at Grace Church actually called Regen, which is like regeneration. And you're in there, people go there for struggles, and they even have a struggle finder quiz. So according to the quiz, my struggles are guilt and shame, depression, and control, which is, yes, that's very true. And so like I'm in a weekly program with other people that were, you know, some are, I also have this, but like people pleasing is their problem. Anger is someone's problem. And that those, in that sense, there was no like rock bottom. I just felt that I have hurt inside that I can't, through all the therapies that I've done, like access this hurt. So I need to look at another way to approach the pain.
Thank you for going there. And just know that if you are struggling with anything, you are not alone. There is help, whether it's within this office or outside, you know, wherever. Please know that we're here to help you. So let's and thank you again for going.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's talk about, so we get licensed.
Yeah.
And here we are 2.5 years later. And again, one of the things you shared is, you know, how one mom turned loneliness into a 400+ family community and a thriving real estate brand. You've done, you know, remarkably well in a couple of years here. Walk us through, we get licensed, and then what?
Yes. Okay. So I got licensed, and for the first like 2 months, I think I just did what they tell you to absolutely not do, which is spend like all the monies. You know, let's try the postcards, let's try the doors, like let's order it all. I felt like I was throwing absolute spaghetti at the wall, and I was. Open houses were good for me right away, but the other stuff, not so much. And so I went to Mega Camp, and I loved Mega Camp. And at Mega Camp, I also connected with an agent, Lauren Lancaster. She is like the director of productivity at the Lakes office. And her and I really hit it off. And she was quite pregnant and going to need some assistance. So she, before she went out on like an extended maternity leave, we'll call it, but she was still working, but not right. The training that she gave me was something that I am so grateful for, because I am not someone that so much likes like the paperwork side of things. So like contracts, somehow I passed it on the test, but I don't think I ever read any of that. So to have someone like do it in a way that worked for me, which was like, let's pretend we're writing an offer for this house. I want you to submit the offer you would submit, and doing real practices, that gave me like a lot more confidence. And I think this is such a business where you have some people who walk around and like they seem so almighty, and if you're new, at least for me, I was like, everyone's going to choose that person over me. Like, why would anyone choose me, right? So that helped give me some confidence, and then I started doing a lot of open houses, which was I loved, because it reminded me a lot of Nordstrom, like greeting people in the store, a department, they're welcoming everyone in, and that worked for me. So I started having transactions through that, and then it was at Mega Camp that somebody on stage was talking about how they had grown their business from like a Facebook community all about moving to the town of whatever, right? And they had some like unbelievable amount of transactions through that, but I get it. They're moving to a town of, all those people are going to buy a house. But I thought to myself, because the traditional sort of model that we even learned that in here too, which it works. It works. It's not that it doesn't work. It just like it didn't feel right for me, some of the activities. And the idea of helping people in some way, in a large sense, appealed to me. And I already had like a little, I call it like a side chat with a number of moms on Facebook. We were all ASD moms and had kids in that taller age for like play dates, because we have to be in like a fence secure. There are certain things that you need. And I thought to myself, well, this person was talking like, I'd have a community. I could make a bigger community. I'm just going to make like a Facebook group for play dates and coffee, like get together, because we at the play days we're kind of running on our kids, making sure they're safe, and we moms still want to connect. So I made this group. The people moved into that group. We like started having coffee at my house and going out for these play days. All I would say was like, let's meet at this playground this Saturday. That is the extent of event planning. That's it. It costs $0 to do. And the coffee at my house also, it really was coffee. The Keurig was working, and that was it. And maybe I brought some Costco muffins, but not much. So this kind of started growing. It was only after like 4 months or something that a dad, maybe even less than that, a dad showed up, and I never said moms. Oh, he just kind of us, And I was like, oh, a man who's here. Robert, you gotta come home. There's a guy here, Yeah. And then a dad started coming, and then there was a Saturday where 2 women rang on my doorbell and said they were there for coffee, and my nanny was like, 2 people are here for coffee, and I said, no, it's not today. And that's when I realized maybe my house. And so we started moving to People's Organic, again, cost $0. And I made it pretty standard that the play date was like at St. David's. Or the splash pad in St. Luke Park. And it just kind of became like more regular. And I really did not, that's really all it was. And then I went to a family camp, which we go to every summer. And after that, after being at family camp and really like being unplugged for a week, which I feel like is the time that you get the most clarity, truly unplugged for an entire week. There wasn't TV, like wasn't TV. I was standing in the shower, and as I got out, I thought to myself, like, oh, time to become a real estate agent again, like time to put on that mask outfit of the day. And it was just like struck with like, you don't have to do that. You could just be yourself and sell real estate. And how about the people who are like my family that need to move? That experience is different. Like it's different. Mm-hmm. So I just decided that I was just going to rebrand myself and just focus on the thing I already was walking in, which was my autism community. And that is sort of how, like, Anna Elder Homes as the brand that serves a neurodiverse community, but now it also serves a lot of seniors and more emotional transactions. That's how that grew. was after some time off. There.
Questions,
Comments.
please.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
It is amazing. You found it in your heart and you're running your business in alignment with your values and your morals and what is guiding you. I think that you need to give yourself a lot of credit for that.
Well, I thank you. I don't really feel like it was me. I feel like actually when I like stopped controlling who I thought I should be and look like I know my first headshot. Well, my first headshot picture was from JCPenney. But yes. My second headshot picture though, I'm wearing extensions in my hair. I have fake eyelashes on, which were so hard for me to put on. So I'm like pantsuit. I mean, like it just, that is not me. And I was talking about like first time home buyer tips and things like that. That really also wasn't really anyone that I was even engaging with. So thank you for that. And also I think that really is kind of like one of my main ahas is that like we are all created uniquely unique and special and with unique gifts for a reason. And I think that things like school possibly kind of beats like the creativity out of you because you're told when you're kind of like do this, you're not following the rules, you're not getting you have to, there is an example of what one should do and everyone must follow said schooling example. I think that some of that kind of we start to feel, at least in my case, start to feel like you don't fit in, you're not doing it, so then you mask, and it's just a very awful place to be. So what I have realized is that we all have these incredible gifts, and I think that if we really think we know kind of what those are or what we like to do with our heart, but there is fear that keeps us there. We don't want to be judged as like some weirdo and that kind of stuff,
Right.
How do you feel like people reacted differently when you made that shift?
Yes. So some of the things, the feedback that I got from people like in this industry was, you don't want to be known as the autism realtor. Do families with autism even have any money? Yeah. How often do those families actually move? That was like some of the feedback I was getting, but I really, and then in terms of how is the feedback from the like general population? I great question. I guess I never, it wasn't like, oh, this is genius. People would say things like, oh, I'd never thought of that, or that those types of families probably do need some additional help, or what does that look like then? So the feedback I think was a little bit, which I feel like one of like Jake Lurie gave me this book called Worthy, and that is it's like Bible. It's such a good book for me at the moment. And one of the things he says is you're not crazy, you're just first. And so I think like that kind of, like the idea seemed kind of different because it wasn't exactly a niche market that I had much competition.
Great question. So let's get kind of tactical here, because one of the questions that may be in some minds here is, okay, so we create this community, this online community. How do we translate that to actual like business, and we're helping people? Walk us through a few those examples, or what has kind of happened.
Yes.
Through all that.
I will say, first of all, I believe out of my entire group of people that I like communicate with regularly and get a weekly newsletter, I think I've had more than that, but maybe one or two transactions. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. It really, I would say that it gave me something to like focus my eyes on and to focus my brand on and to feel like good about telling the story about. And I believe that authenticity just drew in the right type of, it's been a business of 50-50 buy sell, but that type of seller, that type of buyer. So that was kind of the interesting thing for me, for sure. And I don't even remember the question. What was the question?
Just, again, I'm going towards just tactical, like lead generation, like.
Oh yeah, sure.
How have we leveraged what you're doing in a authentic way to turn into business?
Yeah. I believe that, especially a transaction like real estate, I'm sure that you can be in front of someone enough times that they will eventually buy and sell with you. But in general, this is a transaction people use someone they know, like, and trust.
Mhm.
So the game really was, it wasn't even a game. This is just what I love to do. I just knew I needed to like get more visible. And I felt strange standing like at a farmer's market,
Yeah.
right? Because like that feels odd, different for me. I didn't quite know how to connect there. But at like a charity event or something like that with a table, I am so comfortable. So in that sense, that lead generation was really just how do I tell my story more? And I know I could do it so much more authentically. And that, I believe, truly does just drop. I don't know. I don't want to make it sound like I don't do lead generating, because I do. I think lead generating is just like building great relationships. That's kind of it, you know? I mean, the woman who did my laser hair removal, her dad sold his house with me. So you're lying there, you talk to them, you know? And then they just grow to trust you. And then, oh, look, Dad needs to sell his house. Well, I know that really, and actually you can trust her, so let's trust her. So, which also then can become a problem, because then all of a sudden you feel like every opportunity is a lead generating opportunity. You're saying yes to everything when you need to take care of yourself too. So there's,
Good. Other questions? So if I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, I should, create a online community like this. Can you share, what's the name of your group? Like, how does all that work? Are you systematic about posts? Is it, we're still doing the weekly play dates? Like, what's the mechanics of that, from a standpoint of what's worked for you? What are you doing? And what advice would you give them if they were, kicking around the idea of starting, some group up in Brooklyn Park or wherever?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's called the Twin Cities Autism Support Network. And I chose that name simply because that's exactly what we are. And I thought, what would people search, And then the posting schedule is non-existent. So the group really just exists to tell each other about like play dates and sensory-friendly activities that are happening. And every now and then somebody will, especially somebody who's like newer to the group, will kind of ask like some other question, right? Mm-hmm. But I've made it very clear that that is not a group. You cannot like bash someone else's therapy choices. Their opinions are to be kept off the page. I say my group, my rules. I will kick you out if they post something kind of like, to stir the pot. So it's a very positive space. So really there's a non-existent posting schedule. There are monthly play dates. The coffees are becoming quarterly. And then I am also adding in, which I'm like trying to think how is this exactly going to work, but the city of Plymouth, and I had a fantastic meeting, and they are helping me do monthly birthday parties for like younger kiddos on the spectrum. Like my son William, he's 6, and he has never had a birthday party. We are gonna have one for him this year, but because like, especially if they're in therapy centers, it's HIPAA. You're not exactly like handing out birthday party invitations in a waiting room, it's kind of weird. So, and there's many people that are in that boat where their child just doesn't have the play skills. So we're gonna do younger age, birthday parties once a month. So that is kind of that schedule.
How did you kind of lead your real estate business? You mean into that community?
Yeah.
Like, so, how did that work? That kind of feels like, you know what I'm saying? Like a little salesy.
Before, and I did it. Like the whole thing is I never did. I never ever.
So there's never anything about like real estate, or people aren't trying to sell things on
you
can't. The page.
No, okay. I didn't put I don't put new listings on there. Nothing. Okay. Nothing. That is like just really loving on people who I know that feeling of like, I really started the group because I was so lonely as I was, in this industry. I was not in this industry yet. I was in this industry. In this industry where you're isolated a lot. And my son, like never got invited to anything. So we weren't exactly going to big play dates. And it's hard. So it was lonely. And that's the whole reason I started the group. And I've never tried to sell anyone anything in it. I think just being someone that they like trusted was really all it was. So there was not really any formal weaving, but I do. So one thing that was happening though was that I was, before I kind of made the brand, I was already doing these play dates and things and coffees. I was spending money, right? Like to do it, and more people were coming, so it was getting to be more and more money of just my money. And so I decided to donate 10%, and I definitely awful. That's like my whole finance situation, but I am quite sure it is well over 10% this year to my community. And so that then has like made me feel a little like feel the whole kind of the whole thing, because these play dates and sensory Santa that we just had last Saturday, which was unbelievable. None of those things would happen if I wasn't selling homes to pay for it.
So then okay, I get it. So then of your real estate business, do you make that known to people, or is that kind of?
It's on my website. I make it known. People do know.
And I think I love that.
Thank you.
More people should tell
Yeah.
that part of their story.
And I do. I mean, I have started to feel a lot more confident. I think ever since I got the Good Neighbor Award, truthfully, that felt like a seal of approval in some way.
Yeah.
For those who don't know about that,
Yeah.
just share that for a second.
Oh, sure. Okay. So the NAR and then MAR and every other subdivision, whatever, has like 4 major awards that they give out. Realtor of the Year, Fair Housing something, some legislative something. Sorry, I should know this. And then the Good Neighbor Award, which is somebody who just is like doing good in the community, really. And so I got nominated, or more than one nomination for that award. But I still never like thought that I would actually win it. The guy who won last year, he raised like, he's raised like $2 million for and I'm doing play dates. So when they called my name, it was quite shocking. But that's like that seal of approval has made me feel like I can be okay with telling people in my group that all of this is paid for through real estate. So in the last few months, I've felt a lot more confident with it, I would say.
I think it says a lot about you that you're worried about that you're worried about tainting the beautiful thing you built.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm very worried about it.
That's why you're as successful in it as you wanted to keep it pure, and
yeah,
and that's your passion, and it's not just a vehicle to make money.
No.
And I think that's why this is working, because it's pure.
But everyone has the same ability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think
find your thing.
yeah, you have to find your thing. And I have some advice for that. But I also feel that like as a society, we are sold to. Do you know that we have spent as much money in the last 6 years as we have since for the previous 60 or something like that? So in 6 years, we have consumed. It's like that. It blows my mind. So. But you really are being sold to all the time. I mean, every Instagram, Facebook, like everywhere you go, upsold. And I, went out to lunch yesterday with William, and we got an order of eggs and bacon, and I got the side of all the stuff. It was $27. So I just think that because he was like, "Don't you want to add that? Don't you want to add that?" And yeah, don't sure you don't want tea? We got this new specialty. So. I feel like there's something that feels really, I feel that really like comforting when you're not getting like, oh, this was such a nice conversation. Boom. Do you have a referral for me? Like,
what do you want from me?
What do you want from me? Yeah.
From moms, everyone's like, what can you, always asking like, what can you give? What can you give? And we're just like natural givers all the time. And it's so nice, like to have a community where, It
is really nice. And I will say
asking things of these moms, something for them.
And that I haven't seen like this happen. I haven't seen the fruits of this yet, but what's happening is that somebody will mention in another like bigger group, I'm thinking about moving to Minnesota. I have a child on the spectrum, and they will just like ask questions about schools, which is always the topic we want to talk about. And somebody in there that's in my group, I don't know who they are, meant to say like, you should speak with Anna Elder, and then I'm tagged in it. And so that has been mind-blowing for me too, to just be like, I don't even know who this person is. Wow. And that is like, I think if you just, I believe truly, it's not always been like this, but I've awoken to this, that if we just serve others, but like not, servant style, like how are you being a servant leader? How are you helping people? What is it that you've been through that like you feel like you've overcome, like that you can now, and you don't even have to overcome it, even a struggle that you're in. I think we're like most equipped with that thing is you're best served to be the person you once were, or something like that. Best equipped to serve the person you once were. I think that it will just all come back.
So that clock's a little bit ahead. I just want to pause and I want to ask you guys a question just to give her a second here to grab a drink and take a break. So everything that I'm hearing in my head, I'm always saying, so what's the lesson here? What's the lesson here? So I want to ask you guys 30 minutes into this, what lessons have you gotten so far?
Just be authentic. I mean, you can't try to be someone else. You can't do it how someone else does it. And people see through the BS.
Now more than ever.
And I think in real estate too, we want to like win, like when you're up against other agents, like we all want to win that client. And some clients just aren't for you. So when you're authentic, just like you said, you attracted people, like not necessarily families with autistic children, but you attracted that type of client that would be attracted to who you are authentically. And some clients aren't for us.
And then it doesn't feel like work anymore.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
I got this review from somebody where it was the day we went live. He wrote this review unprompted. And this review was like, I can't even make it up. Right. And his mother was passing. His mother actually passed the night we went live. And all I did was just like, my mom has passed. So I didn't cross the boundary, but I kind of thought, what would I want someone asking me what warm white I would like to choose when my mom was on her deathbed? No, make that decision for him.
Yeah.
And he just wrote such a beautiful thing about how grateful he was for like that kind of help during such a tough time. Yeah. So that's exactly right. Not bad.
Go ahead.
I have known Anna since she started in our market center at KW Lakes, and I just wanted to share personally, just working with her. When I first met her, I remember kind of the extensions and the hair, and I'm like, wow.
Just in the picture, just in the photo. The rest of the hair is real.
Sure, just in the picture. but you could see her evolve when she started to wear her tennis shoes and her t-shirts, and like that was her. And when she got out of her own way, when she showed up, like this is her. That is a major turning point for you. One of the lessons that I've learned from Anna is you have to find your tribe. And I know it's very lonely having come from a team and been a part of a team and then being solo. It's a lonely business. And so what I've seen with Anna is she has found her tribe, her team, her support, and she gets out of her own way. And she finds people who can teach her, what to do and not, she gets out of her own way. And so I've seen you really grow with that. And you're being very genuine and open and honest with, what you know and what you don't know. So I think just seeing you grow, it's been a pleasure getting to know you and getting to see you as a person, as a mom, as a real estate agent. And I will say when I first met her and she was like, I'm going to kind of focus on this autism community. I mean, I was like, okay, like, is that even a thing? Like, how can this work? Like, how does this even translate? Like, it kind of sounded crazy. And I have learned so much from her in how to serve that community because she understands that community. And so really, they talk about, people who ride motorcycles like to buy houses from people who ride motorcycles. People who love dogs want to buy houses from people who love dogs. And so I've learned from Anna, like, I know how to do real estate. I've done, transactions. I've done events. But now I've learned from her how to do them for the autism community. And so that is her special sauce.
Thank you. And I just, one thing about like Laura and, my coach Lindsay's here too, the like leverage piece that I that was a game changer for me. It's a few different things, but it was last year, I guess. Yeah. In October, I had about like 6 transactions, like at some point of, getting ready to get on the market or something. And, like I said, paperwork and stuff like that is just like not my strength, And the one transaction happened pretty quickly, and I was like reviewing the executed PA the next day, and I just realized that we were paying the buyer's agent 5% commission because we were already paying out 2.5, and then they requested 2.5. And at that, we ended up just paying out 2.5, right? No problem, it got fixed. But like for some reason this is the biggest transactions of people's lives, and like that's when it hit me like, you need help. And I called Lindsay, and I actually had to call her back because I was crying so hard when she picked up the phone that she was like, Anna, and like I couldn't get like the breath out. So that has been, and then her husband does transaction work too. So to be able to then have someone kind of like help guide was humongous. And then I was planning to do my first Santa event last year. And, I was just going to like have someone's dad be Santa, right? No deal. Something and just tell it a day. But I did have a vision of what I wanted it to look like. And I kind of started to get more and more excited, and the idea started to get bigger and bigger. And I started promoting it before I even had it. Like I was like, this date for having the Santa experience, come like join us. And then it was about 6 weeks before the thing. And I realized, wow, I am actually busy right now. How am I going to plan this event? So that's when I reached out to Laura. The first question she asked me was, do you have Santa? And I was like, got plenty of time. 6 weeks to find Santa, which is what I learned that Santas get booked in like February.
Yeah.
But we did actually find 2 great Santas. So, and then Laura actually, and this year we did it for the second time. So she learned from the first time, don't let me touch anything, like nothing. Because I will start to kind of do it, like in terms of some decorating or something. And then I will get an idea of a different way to do it and leave all that stuff and go the new idea and just leave piles of stuff everywhere.
So let's go to John. You're leading into my next question, but go ahead, John.
Kind of going back to what Kirsty was saying, and Lauren, to exactly your point, shameless plug in the newsletter today. I did talk about like how your clients are actually out there looking for you.
Yeah, they are.
And that's exactly what you're doing, is creating that community, because there are people that can help.
Yes.
Right. And so to that point is, like for me, it was always coaching. Like the people that I'm working with are generally connecting through that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people are out there. You just have to create that community for the people that you want to work with, right?
Totally.
Like it was a natural working with first time home buyers and different stuff. You start to get into your authentic self.
And I think like another example of that, and Sarah Bonneville everyone knows Sarah Bonneville, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's a good friend of mine, and like she loves to bike. She bikes, girl bikes all the time, and she does like cool biking and bike racing and like all sorts of biking. And she is starting to like kind of like embrace the idea of maybe focusing on that. And I think things like that are so beautiful, because it might. You probably are not going to like sell a house first day you're promoting yourself like this, but it's your business becomes also like what you actually are passionate about, and it's a whole lot easier.
Yeah, well said. So how do you, I've been asked a lot of times to have a Mega Mom series. So how do you maintain being a great mom, spouse, all of that with this busy business? And obviously the leverage is part of that, but walk us through what works for you to stay sane and be present at home.
That would be Rose, my VA. Truly, that's right there. I'm like Mary Rose. She never ever leaves me. But I knew this paperwork thing, and I have a lot of ideas. But I hate to be behind a computer, so those two really clash. That needed to like be offloaded, and I've hired a lot of people in my career, like hundreds probably. So I knew I could find my own VA. So I made an Upwork post with the help of Greer, who at the time was helping me with some like basic operational things, which stand like basic standards that I still do not actually use. or so like, where's that template? I just rewrite it right now. So that's what, though, when I kind of got a system where I could see that what a VA would be doing. And then I found Rose on, what's it called? Upwork. And she just jumped out at me, and Greer did a first full interview. I did a second interview where I pretty much asked her if she could like control me, because that's actually what I need. I need someone to be like, great idea. Not right now. And to do all that paperwork. And so I'm like an ID. I actually think that test, I think I had like 0 C or S, actually 0. Never seen such a thing. And she is all CS. So we balance each other out pretty well. And so every morning I have a call with her, and is it virtual? And I like dump all the ideas I have, all the things I think she needs to do, we need to do kind of. And then she sort of like gives me, okay, like to execute those ideas, I need the following 3 things for you. You need to write me this caption. I need you to tell me more about this story. And I provide her kind of the vision, and she does the execution of like a lot of those types of tasks that don't involve actually interacting with people, so that I can then be a mom, like truly be a mom. And not that you're not a mom otherwise, but I know like when I worked at Nordstrom, it felt totally different to like leave the house at 7 a.m. and come back at 6 p.m. every night, you know, to do that, to also take care of my well-being, which I sometimes struggle with, and get the business to where it needs to be. That actually, so like leverage actually is a really big piece of that. But to utilize the leverage correctly, I had to first be able to give up, which one of the things I'm still working on, control, you know? Because when I first had the VA and she was doing some work, I was like, oh no, like I can do this better. This is not the exact way I had it in my mind, but of course I was a mind reader. And so she would do something and then I would redo it. And at that point it is pointless. So it was really through the help of Lindsay and the fact that this summer I was like unbelievably sick for a while. And I physically like could not do much work for a little bit. And Lindsay said, like, you really coached me through being able to trust Rose, because I knew she had the capacity. I just didn't want to lose the control until I was actually forced to. And then after that, I was like, wait, I don't want to start doing all that stuff again. Okay, you know what I mean? Like I took work off my plate. I'm not even because I'm healthier. It doesn't mean I want all the work, that kind of work back. I realized that, you know, to be in my whatever 80%, 20%, the percentage you're supposed to be in, it was to like leverage all of that out. And so that has become a really big thing. And then also, I guess it is more leverage. Like for a long time, I struggled with the idea of like, if I'm home, I don't need a babysitter or nanny because I am there. But, you know, we do a lot more as moms and dads. The cooking and the cleaning and the planning and the organizing, the calls are coming in. So being okay and seeing the value in helping like childcare help has also been really important, so that I can still actually be more present. My kids have some unique needs, so it's not like we're playing all together typically. So somebody can like, you know, Jane can kind of be with Henry so that I can do with William, and they'll want my vice versa. So that has also been really helpful.
So what exactly do you have for leverage? You have a VA, you have a coach.
So I have, yeah.
TC.
Mm-hmm. I have a VA like that, you know, every day I communicate with.
And the VA is Rose full-time?
Yeah, she's full-time for sure. I pay her between 32 and not often 40, but like about 32 hours a week.
Okay.
And what she can do in 30 hours would probably take me like 100 hours. Just, you know, it's just not my skill set. Mm-hmm. And then I have my coach, and currently we are on a pretty intense coaching schedule. You know, probably an abnormal coaching schedule. But I have some goals that I would like. I need some things mapped out for me to hit the goals I intend to achieve. And her husband is also the TC. And then for like my Santa event, and I was planning to do a school event, but you know, I realized there's a lot of red tape with schools and a lot. But Laura helps with all of those sorts of things, and she also trains my VA, which is like to kind of like be able to take on some bigger tasks. And I think eventually she will also take on transactions, but she's not there yet, you know. So she needs to kind of there's a lot she needs to learn still, even though she did work with a different broker for 6 years. So those are like my biggest leverage pieces. And then I hired Greer as fractionally for like 4 or 5 months maybe to help build out some systems, to create some like structure, like templates. I for example, like a seller, this is the template that they get through different stages. Set up a little bit of automation, some like zaps, things that I really don't understand.
Should refine your tech stack.
Okay.
I get it. There we go.
Sure. Whatever she does.
Good question. I want to go back to, just because I would regret it if I didn't ask. Nordstrom's is its own little, culture and training and customer service and all of that. Regardless of your experience at Maple Grove, leaving and all that. Can you share any lessons you learned from that company that you carry into your real estate business?
Yes. I mean, honestly, I love Nordstrom, and I truly feel like they like kind of saved my life, because I was really struggling when I first started with them, and they sort of like kept me there, even though I'm, but I was at the Rack those 2 years as that store manager, but all my other years were only in the full line, which just has a little bit of a different feel.
Mhm.
And I learned so much there in terms of just customer service, what's that word you use? You say unreasonable hospitality. Like that, especially when I first started in 2008, like that, we were doing things that you just don't really do now, but it was really like serving clients for sure. So, and following up and all of that kind of stuff. So they taught me a ton, both about sales and just about, I think, like leading people without being a boss,
Mhm. And are there any lessons, and Hershey, feel free to chime in too, any lessons that you would share, like, hey, here's one thing I do with folks as a result of what I learned at Nordstrom's? Anything you guys can think of?
Well, I think that retail in general taught me clienteling. And that's like, on a snowstorm day, standing in a store, you can't wait for people to walk through the door.
Yeah.
So you get on the phone and start calling your top favorite clients, and sometimes you don't just call them to say, we got a new sweater in. You say, hey, I was just thinking about you. How did that party with your kids go last weekend, or whatever? So that directly relates to, what you do in real estate.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I think like the CRM type of thing. I wasn't in sales for that long actually, but like leading people. The CRM that we kind of had for the time was pretty advanced. Like in 2008, we were able to pull customer lists and stuff like that from our personal book. So definitely, you're right. Clienteling for sure.
Cool. And we have 6-7 minutes left. Any other systems or things that are working really well for you that you'd like to share that we might be able to implement?
Well, this is what I'm going to say. This is something that really helped me like kind of kick a lot off, is that I had a date with ChatGPT for real. So like one day I don't know, and ChatGPT at this point wasn't what ChatGPT is now, but I don't know. It wasn't like as widely used maybe, but it's because it was 2 years ago. And I think it was in a couples therapy or something. We were doing some sort of values exercise, and the way the quiz was, I just didn't feel like that was sort of, I don't know, deep. And so I asked this. I said, I asked ChatGPT, ask me a series of questions, one by one, to help me identify my true values and beliefs. And it really does like ask you, and I mean, I know what my true values and beliefs were, but it was like almost like validating it. And it took a while. So I would say that part, just like half an hour, it really does one by one part is key, because it won't stop until it feels like it has like the full picture. And then when I was able to see, I think that this is something that more stems from like a childhood stuff, but I sometimes have a difficult time seeing it in myself, like believing in myself. And so I was able to at that point, use the chat bot and say like, okay, based on this, what sort of skill sets would this person, and I sort of like stepped out of myself, have? And it was just, I think, a little bit like that, like mind blowing. I probably spent like 4 hours with ChatGPT. And I also am like my brain kind of never stops. So I was asking a lot of questions and getting a lot of feedback. And that really helped. I think just at least like I said, for me, even though I had an idea or believed that, no, like I really do like to help people. I know they say like, can't say you just like to help. Like, I really do. So so then to sort of be able to unpack that again, with a chatbot, but in a way where I saw the chatbot telling me like, no, those are your gifts. Like you should do that. It just validated me, I guess, in a way that I felt more comfortable with than, a human telling me.
Oh,
That's what I'm leaving you with, I guess. That and like, yeah, I don't know, I think that if we think back to like when we were children, young children, what did you love to do then? It's probably something to do with that too. And that this one has been hard, and I still have, haven't opened up about all of it, but I'm realizing that like the struggle story that you've been through is like actually your greatest gift. You just have to kind of, yeah.
when we're sitting here a year from now, what will we be celebrating? What, as far as these goals that are important to you?
Yes. I think that one of the biggest goals I have is to actually to speak and to share a little more of my story in a way, just truly like, because I believe that it will help people. And I think that is sort of what I'm meant to do. And to do things like that and, to speak and those sorts of things, or even on panels, to go talk to schools, I had to meet the birthday parties is from a meeting that the city of Plymouth asked me to have. They want to know how to be more inclusive. So like when I say speak, I'm not necessarily talking like on a world stage, but to spend more time doing that, and I could maybe have done something a little more significant, and then I will sell 35 homes next year. Which feels really uncomfortable to say, because I am one of those people who I don't make a goal unless I'm pretty confident I'm going to hit it, because otherwise you're failing, because otherwise it's going to be, what was your goal? 35, how many did you sell? I mean, I have no idea, 22. That if I set my goal at 20 and I sell 22, then I'm like, wow. So that's a little bit, but Jake Lors has helped a lot with that, kind of help reframe. I think that's one that a lot of us, we want to win, right? Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I'm going to do 35 homes.
Okay. And as you wake up every Monday morning, what are 1 to 2 things you're going to focus on to ensure you sell 35?
Okay. The most important thing for me is my mindset and like my morning routine type of a thing.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So it's not like it's really strict. I don't have, things like a time block. It's very difficult for me. But I wake up usually quite early, like very early, not on purpose. I just do. And every morning, like currently too, I get my coffee, and then I'm in a reading plan for the Bible. So I'm reading, whatever little chapters are in there. And sometimes that sparks something. Since I haven't previously read the Bible, even though I was Churchwoman of the Year for the Greater Boston area, 1998. True story. Still have the newspaper campaign of the year. I did administer chalice and stuff. I was doing stuff. That, and then I do some journaling. Mm-hmm. And then I'm currently doing regen. So like we just started inventory. So right now I'm working my resentments, which is, if you have done a 12-step program, you've understood that. And then after that, I find that like I am so at peace, I feel like I can conquer the world. Mm-hmm. So but if I wake up and start thinking like, oh my gosh, I have that closing today, didn't get them a closing gift, and they're going to be so frustrated. They already don't like me. The house is a mess. Who am I going to get it over here? Like if I start doing that, I can tell you I'm not going to be serving anyone very well that day.
And just curious, what time is early for you?
Yeah, I mean, it can 3:30 to 5:30, somewhere in there. I have never set an alarm clock this in my like whole life, except for when I was in like middle school or something. Otherwise, I just naturally wake up. I know that sounds very weird. Quite early. So when it's 3:30, I'm like a little annoyed. 4:30 is like for sure, that's fine. But it's not like I'm going to the gym and like doing all these other like
Yeah.
things.
Got it.
5 a.m. That 5 a.m. club thing. I'm not like, pounding my matcha or some, whatever, protein drink.
Yeah. As we wrap, it's noon, any last thoughts, advice, just parting words you want to leave us with?
Yeah, that I am just like, thank you guys for coming. This is unreal to me that people would like come to listen to me speak. So that's all I'm going to part with. It's just like, thank you. I'm humbled, grateful, and truly a little blown away right now. So.
Thank you so much. I always say, hey, we want you to walk out of here with one thing you can implement by, I'll just say the end of the year. So if you don't have that, let's find a way to connect with her. And I don't know if you're sticking around a few minutes.
Oh, yeah.
The goal here is for each and every one of us to get better in some way, personally or professionally. So if you don't have that one thing you feel like you can put into place to help move your life forward, let's help you find it. So have a good holiday. Thank you all, and drive safe.
Great.
Thank you.
Anna, we really did come into it.
Yeah.
I woke up, I was like, she's gonna be in the office today, right? I was like, we jumped in the car.
I go to about this, so
Any day after.
Any day after.
How are you doing? Huh? As your director of operations.
And you're in like Maple Grove. Something.
Yes, I remember.
Yes, started Maple Grove. I remember that.
I remember you. I know your name, and I skipped the. I remember talking.
Great holiday if I don't remember. It's fast. I'm like, right.
I understand.